Today, I think, and you may have heard Secretary Blinken talk about this earlier, officials from the U.S. Embassy in Moscow attended the 6th session of the court hearing of American citizen Brittney Griner, who was being wrongfully detained under intolerable circumstances. I want to reiterate that President Biden has been clear about the need to bring home every American who is held hostage or wrongfully detained abroad. And that includes, of course, Brittney Griner and Paul Whelan. Now, months ago, President Biden directed his national security team to pursue every avenue to bring Brittney home safely to her family, her friends, her loved ones, or teammates. The U.S. government continues to work aggressively, pursuing every avenue to make that happen. Now, as part of those efforts, we made a substantial offer to secure the release of Paul Whelan and Brittney Griner and to bring them home, just as Secretary Blinken mentioned earlier. I would add that a high-level administration official, Deputy Homeland Security Advisor Josh Geltzer, reached out today to both the Whelan and Griner families ahead of Secretary Blinken's comments, and he's going to be having conversations with them later today and tomorrow as we arrange for them to connect. In order to decrease the chances for success here, we're obviously not going to be able to share more publicly about the deal. I'm sure you all have questions about what this looks like, and I'm sure you can all understand that it's not going to help us get them home if we're negotiating in public with y'all. So I'm not going to have any more detail on that. But I will say that the President and his team are willing to take extraordinary steps to bring our people home, as we've demonstrated with Trevor Reed. And that's what we're doing right here. It's actively happening now. This has been at the top of the mind for the President and for his whole national security team. He receives regular updates about the status of our negotiations to secure Brittney and Paul's release, as well as other U.S. nationals who are wrongfully detained or held hostage in Russia, and I might add, around the world as well. With that, take some questions.
A few questions for you, Kirby. Just want to make sure, one, this offer was made in June, is that right?
It was made several weeks ago.
Several weeks ago. And has Russia responded to the offer? And our indication seems to be that they have not. And if they have not responded, what do you read into that?
Again, I don't want to get into the details of negotiations, Caitlin. I would tell you that the offer has been made, and we certainly hope that Russia will favorably engage on it, but I don't want to get into more detail about that.
If they haven't favorably engaged so far, do you think this is an offer that President Biden needs to make directly?
I think we're making it clear across the national security team that we're serious about securing their release. I don't have any conversations to speak about or announce on the President's behalf. We believe that this is a serious proposal, and we want the Russians to take it seriously as well.
You talk about Brittney Griner and Paul Whelan being a part of this substantial, serious offer as you describe it. There are other questions being asked about why Mark Vogel's not included among those names. He's a former diplomat. He was a teacher at the Anglo-American School of Moscow. Can you explain why he is not a part of this list of Americans that are a part of this exchange?
I don't want to talk specifically about what the modalities of the deal is. You mentioned the word exchange. I'm just not going to get into the details of it. But I would just tell you we're focused on all Americans who are held hostage and wrongfully detained around the world. What we're talking about with this particular proposal is for those two individuals. That doesn't mean that we're not also working in real time on other Americans who are unjustly detained around the world.
Can you explain why he then is not a part of this one?
I think I'm just going to leave my comments where they are, Peter. Yeah.
Okay. Is there a risk in announcing this deal and making this deal public?
This is delicate work to try to negotiate for someone's release. And every case is individual. The circumstances of their detention is unique. The circumstances of how they're being held and under what legal basis is all unique. And of course, our approach then has to be unique. We try very hard to be very careful in the public sphere about how much we say. I don't want to get into too much today other than to tell you that we felt that where we are and given given the circumstances, certainly in part in context to Mrs. Griner having to stand and testify today, that it was an appropriate time to talk about these efforts. But I will tell you that even that decision was not taken lightly, and we're going to continue in private to work through the negotiations.
And I know you can't talk about the details of the deal, but it has been reported that Viktor Bout is part of that. He's obviously been called the merchant of death. He's been called the most dangerous man on the face of the earth. Is having him part of this deal a good idea?
I'm not going to talk about the details of the negotiations and the arrangement the proposal that we made to the Russians. And again, I think, as I said at the top, I hope you all can understand why more detail is just not going to be helpful for us right now.